What's going on, guys? Patrick from Nintendo Talk here, back with a brand new discussion video. And this is, of course, from the Patreon variety. We are actually starting a new round of Patreon questions. So, JD, this is your second discussion video. Thank you so much, buddy, for contributing to the channel. Of course, if you guys would like to join the Patreon, there are different levels. I added in new rewards for the brand new podcast, which just launched. It is patreon.com/Nintendo Talk. So before I get into this discussion video, just want to thank everyone for the support that I've received from the podcast. And this week I just uploaded part 4 of episode 0, our pilot. And I got to say, I'm really pleased with how it came out. Bobby and Joe are both excellent co-hosts. And I'm kind of excited because next week I will actually get my turn at hosting, and it'll be kind of that way from here on out. But today's discussion video, JD brought up an awesome topic that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about, and it is going to be about those lovable little Joy-Cons. The Joy-Con controller I actually am very favorable towards. When I first played Breath of the Wild, I didn't have a Pro controller at the time, so I actually played the whole playthrough with just the Joy-Con grip, which I really didn't mind. I actually do like the controllers. When I first got the Switch and took the Joy-Con out, I was a little worried. I was like, you know what, these buttons are a little bit small. But once they're in the grip, even sideways, they're pretty comfortable in the hand. So we're going to be talking about the Joy-Con today, and not about anything in particular except the price tag. The Joy-Con currently are on the market for $79.99 US, which is pretty expensive for a controller. And JD wants to know if there is some way that we can make these a little bit more affordable for the consumers. Now, before I start, I just told you the price already, but I want to go over some of the features of the Joy-Con. And I'm sure some of you already know this, people with a Switch. But essentially, the Joy-Con come with pretty much 2 halves of a controller. So you can put these in the grip and use it as a traditional controller, or you can turn it on its side and use it as 2 different controllers. So right away, essentially, you're getting 2 controllers right off the bat. And of course, these come with the Switch, standard already. So right out of the box, you have 2 controllers, which is very kind of retro of Nintendo. I mean, the SNES came with 2 controllers, so this is kind of a cool throwback to that. But it does come with 2 controllers, and it does have some pretty incredible features. It has motion control, which when I first saw these at the presentation, I immediately thought the Wii. Of course, he did that little demonstration with ping pong and brought me right back to Wii Sports Resort, which is one of my favorite motion control games of all time. They do have HD Rumble, which it is a little bit more in depth than a traditional Rumble. And the games that you can kind of feel the biggest impact is, I know I give this game tons of flack, but 1-2 Switch shows off the Joy-Con very, very well. Probably better than any game out there. Of course, with all the mini games, the mini game where you kind of twirl the Joy-Con in your hand, counting all the marbles. It's incredible, and I really can't put into words the feeling that the Joy-Con gives you. You're gonna have to play that game some way. I wouldn't recommend buying that game. It is a fun party game, I will admit that. I won't take away all the merit that game has, but it is enjoyable. I don't think I will be buying it anytime soon for the full asking price, but it does showcase the potential of the Joy-Con quite well. And then the IR camera, which that's been the biggest debate so far. It was used in 1-2 Switch. I'm actually not too sure if it's been used in any other game or application, but it's essentially a feature that I believe is on the right Joy-Con. And it's a little awkward in placement because if you're holding the grip, if you have the Joy-Con in the grip, the sensor is essentially pointing towards you, which is a little bit weird. It was used in that mini game on 1-2 switch when you're like eating the sandwich, and it kind of tracks the motion of your mouth, and it's bizarre, but it does work. When I first saw the IR camera feature, it reminded me a ton of the TV feature on the Wii U gamepad, which I got the Wii U later in its life, so I actually never even used that feature. By the time I got the Wii U, that feature was completely canned. So it kind of seems like Nintendo wanted to go really ambitious with the Joy-Con, but I feel like maybe sometimes less is better. And that's it all kind of goes back to this conversation. Could we get the Joy-Con at a lower price? Now, I'm of two mindsets, because if you really think about it, you only need one additional pair of Joy-Con controllers. Because essentially you have, if you're playing ARMS, that's two competitors right there. If you're playing kind of sideways, more casual, because, they aren't that uncomfortable, but definitely hardcore gamers aren't going to want to play with the Joy-Con sideways. But, if you're having like a nice little party playing Mario Kart or maybe like Street Fighter, it's not a bad way to go. So essentially you only need, I feel anyway, you only need one additional set of Joy-Con. So the price may be high at $79.99, which I think is a little much. With all those features that I just said, that's even stretching it. $80 for a controller is just crazy. And I know that there are more expensive controllers out there, the Xbox Elite controller, which I personally feel is the best controller on the market. It's something that you have to experience to really give an opinion about. But the Joy-Con controller, let's see. Let's kind of dive deep into this and see if we can, in fact, make these cheaper. So, essentially, you can't get rid of the two controller functionality. I know that they do sell Joy-Con individually, but it's kind of pointless to buy these individually. So they have to come in a pair. We can't really get rid of that. The motion control is pretty essential to the... I mean, there are wired Pro controllers and there are different Pro controllers that don't have the motion sensor in them. I don't know though. I don't think you can I don't think you can really get rid of that feature and still have the integrity of the Joy-Con. So let's move down the list. The IR camera, I think, is definitely a feature that you can possibly get rid of. I don't think it really has been utilized to its full potential. Me personally, I'm still waiting for that WarioWare game that everyone is talking about, because I feel like that would be a proper way to kind of get in some mini games and really show off what these Joy-Con could do, because I do think that this is a special technology. So I do think you can possibly get rid of the IR camera. The HD rumble, that is the biggest debate in all of this, because you can get rid of it. You can definitely get rid of that, and you can definitely lower the price if you get rid of those two functions. But here's my thing. If you're playing games like 1-2 Switch, you really feel the HD rumble, and you kind of look back a little bit and you're like, wow, this is incredible. HD rumble is not a gimmick, guys. This is the real deal thing. There are some other games that showcase the HD rumble quite well. And they're actually two indie games. I know that Mario Kart Deluxe kind of shows it off a little bit when you're kind of drifting. You feel the HD rumble. But I want to highlight two games in particular. And if you guys haven't picked these up, or you're just kind of interested, maybe look up some reviews and possibly purchase these games to kind of see what I'm talking about. But the first game is Tumbleseed. It's a pretty cool indie game, and the HD rumble in this game is incredible. Essentially, you're controlling kind of a ball that goes through kind of, not a maze, but it goes through a level, and you kind of have to avoid holes that are in the level. Super fun game. The HD rumble definitely shines in that game. Also, you have Thumper, which is another indie title. You're basically on a track. There's some kind of rhythm elements to it. I wouldn't call it a rhythm game, but essentially it is. I mean, there's not really another genre to call it, but it's a pretty fun indie game. That's kind of something that you guys would have to look up and kind of get your own opinion, because that game definitely is not for everyone, but it definitely highlights the HD rumble. So there are a few games that are highlighting that rumble and putting it to good use. Now, if you're talking about lowering the price of the Joy-Con, that's unfortunately something that you would have to get rid of, which some people wouldn't mind because, let's face it, there aren't a ton of games that utilize it well. The most recent game that I've actually noticed it in was Mario plus Rabbids, and I gotta say, the HD rumble was used quite a bit in that. So I think that they're kind of finding newer and better ways to kind of incorporate that HD rumble. So that would be a hard feature to get rid of. They could probably do it. Now, if you're talking about getting rid of both of those features, you could easily shave off $20. I think that that's probably as low as Nintendo would go with that. So essentially, you could possibly lower the price to $59.99, which from a consumer standpoint looks like a better alternative than paying $80. But like I said before, I feel like you only need one more set of Joy-Con. So there is this big debate, like, it would be nice because there are so many color variations. You know, people want to customize their Switch. I personally want the yellow Joy-Con, but the price tag is kind of keeping me away from buying that. So I guess you kind of have to value how many Joy-Con that you plan to purchase, and if the elements and features of the Joy-Con are important to you, because do you still want to pay $60 for a Joy-Con that is essentially stripped of all of what makes a Joy-Con a Joy-Con? Or do you want to pony up and pay the extra $20 and get the full experience? And it's hard to kind of buy into that mindset because, you know, there are tons of features like the IR camera and the motion control that haven't really been utilized to their full ability. So at the end of the day, we could make the Joy-Con cheaper, but at what cost? And I think what makes the Joy-Con so special are those features, and it's just going to take one game. I think it's just going to take one game to change people's minds and really buy into the idea of the Joy-Con, because I am personally a big fan of them. Anyway, guys, this is Patrick from Nintendo Talk. Thank you to all the current patrons, and I will see you guys later. Thank you very much.